I'm excited that I get to talk to you and tell a story about something, but I have to like put a disclaimer on it because it's crypto adjacent, right?
Oh
No, 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 no,
no.
no, 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 no. It's not like don't click away because I'm not talking about it's adjacent. Um, we finally announced the Team Liquid Coinbase partnership, and that's as
Hey.
adjacent as it gets. Okay, but it is so like big. Hey, not a real crypto conversation. I promise. Not gonna try any. Not gonna try to buy any NFTs. But I finally can talk about all of the details of that, and in particular, the fact that I got to film that zero G flight.
Yes, yes, you did. I saw the video. Good job. You did a good job looping in zero G into how to make this about esports and crypto and zero G. You guys did a good job. Good job. Good work.
Yeah, I'll take my writer's girl credit. For anybody who wants to pause this and watch this, you can just like look up like just like Team Look at Coinbase on Twitter or YouTube, and you'll probably find it. There's like a 2 minute video. It's like Hungry Box and a bunch of other people. First complaint: it's a 2 minute video. I had to cut down my art from 3 minutes to 2 minutes, and that's not the point of the
Oh
story. But
no.
just know that if you go, man, Joey, I thought you were funnier than that. That I, as a person who I guess can call himself a creative, now understands for the first time ever why director's cuts are a thing. I
Okay, so can we well, let's talk about the video for those of you guys who are maybe like at the gym or driving right now and you can't look at the video. Let me see if I remember this correctly. It starts off with one of the CEOs of Liquid, Hungrybox, and the CEO of Coinbase, I believe, and they're all on a plane together, about ready to lift off. And Hungrybox is terrified of flying,
mhm.
and the Coinbase CEO chimes in, and she's like, "Oh, well, people are afraid of magic or whatever the hell," and she compares
People are
flying
afraid
to
of things they don't know. People are afraid of things they
yes,
don't know.
people how cavemen were afraid of fire and early 1900s people were afraid of electricity. Have you ever seen that picture? That was that ad of like electricity kills, and it's just like this dystopian 1900s with like power lines everywhere. People are hanging from power lines all over the
Uh
place.
huh. Uh huh. Uh huh.
Oh man, that one always gets a good laugh out of me. And then flying is apparently just like that. And they make that comparison to crypto. I'm probably doing a bad job selling the commercial, but that kind of sparks something, and all of a sudden they're in a zero G flight.
You were really good for the first half of it. You're really good. Let me. I basically yes. The whole conceit of the video is that Hungrybox doesn't like to fly, and he's scared about it. And then Coinbase lady comes over and is like, "Hey, well, you probably just don't like to fly because you don't understand it. People understand a lot of things. They think they're magic, like fire, like electricity, like cryptocurrency, like esports, like flight." And then we kind of see all these different things in historical context. In the video, you only see fire and electricity, but know that we filmed other ones. That will be in the director's
Yeah,
cut.
like what? Like what? What else is there?
Like esports and like some other jokes that we did.
Oh, okay.
But it's fine. And then the video culminates with like breaking the laws of physics pretty much, and we see shots of everybody like floating around and doing zero G stuff. People are floating around, Hungrybox floating around, Steve, Alexa, like a bunch of different Team Liquid people are floating around, and it's fun and it's cool and it's visually stimulating, and it was. Whew, okay, where do I even begin? So, we booked this flight with the express purpose to film on it. We had to charter an entire zero gravity plane. Now, if you want to experience zero gravity, you can book yourself a plane ticket on a zero G flight, which is like a consumer experience. You can go on with like your dog and your family and whatever, and you go with a bunch of different other people, and it's like about $5,000 in the States for a ticket,
Whew, okay,
which is less than some first class flights.
that is true.
But it is exorbitantly expensive, and that's not a flex. It's just like it was very expensive. We had to rent the whole plane. Renting the whole plane meant that no one else was on there, and we got to get just our film crew on there, just our actors, just our art workers, just our camera people, and we flew with 22 people out of 32 people out of 32 available seats. And guess out of 22 people, how many people vomited?
I never thought that zero G would really mess people up. So is it on the way up or on the way down?
So let me
That
explain
people
to you.
vomit usually.
Let me explain to you actually how the flight works. So it's
Okay.
it's a parabolic flight, which means that it looks like a parabola or like a bell curve. You the plane pulls nose up, goes really high, really steep, really fast. And when you're doing that, you have what is essentially 1.8 G's on your body. Your body is basically twice as heavy because gravity is just super strong because of the physics of the airplane. Then you peak in the parabola and you start to crest over, and as you're cresting over it, boom, suddenly weightlessness, and you go from 1.8 to 0. And what you're doing is like you're not actually weightless, obviously, but like your brain thinks it is because it can't see the outside world. And now this plane is nosediving. The plane is literally basically literally nosediving, and you are basically free floating in the middle of the fuselage. It's like if you took like a big bottle of like liquid or something, and you put like an M&M in there or something, and you're trying to like keep it balanced in the middle. That's what's going on. We're just like floating in the middle of this fuselage of this bottle, and falling very fast. And then so you would think, okay, so you go up and then you come down and then you level off and then you do it again, right? Not really. We did 15 different parabolas.
Oh.
15 parabolas. And it's not one done rest. They happen in immediate succession. So you do 5 parabolas and then you get like a couple minutes for the plane to turn around, and you do 5 more parabolas and you get a couple minutes for the plane to go down. And to your question about how do you get sick, when do you get sick, actually it's not the zero gravity, it's the 1.8 G's that makes your body really not know what's going on at all. And just as interesting as it is to be weightless, it is almost as interesting to be double heavy. because like, there's no way to properly describe it where it even makes sense or I can even convey it. The best I can do is like, try and like put your hand on your shoulder or on your elbow and then try and like raise the other arm, but like put pressure down. Like you're feeling resistance from everywhere. Your bones feel heavier. Which is cool for your arms, but as soon as you move your head in 1.8 G's, it is potentially over for you. And who would have thought that a plane full of pasty gamers would have had issues with motion sickness on a zero G set? Who could have believed that it would have been exceptionally bad? So out of those 22 people, 12 people got sick.
Okay, I was gonna guess a little over half. That was gonna be my guess.
And then the pilots, the people who were with us, because we're in there like with coaches who are helping us film, we're not having any fun really. Like the one unfortunate part about this is like, oh, like you got to like have fun and like float around. It was very serious the entire time. We're spending a lot of money, and basically you have 15 opportunities to do filming and floating, right? So like every time is like taken pretty seriously just because of the economics of it. So there wasn't just like play time for anybody. There was a little bit, but like there just isn't play time. So dude, 12 people got sick, and it was a shit show because they described it as a phenomenal amount of vomit. That was the word that one of the pilots said. He said, "Wow, that was a phenomenal amount of vomit." Proportionally speaking, they've had more than 12 people throw up on a flight before, but proportionally speaking, 12 out of 22, we set a new record for the amount of people getting sick on the flight. Which, I mean, come on, Team Liquid is here to win trophies.
Apparently spewing a lot of liquid at the same time.
Dude, Cap, there's so many different ways I can take this, so please pardon me as I continue to just vomit real quick. When you spewing a lot, so you're not actually spewing a lot of liquid, because what you do before, this is like, people get sick, people get motion sick. It's treated very seriously. Like, there's briefing on vomiting. Everybody takes Dramamine ahead of time, and you plan your 24 hours before the flight intentionally, so you're not eating anything really. You're quasi fasting. The day before the flight, it's like very plain diet, like very white bread, rice, chicken, nothing saucy or acidic or fatty, right? Keep your stomach settled. The morning of, no coffee, no milk, just water, little bit of water, like some fruit if you want it, a little bit of a bagel, no cream cheese, like just very basic food, because it's assumed that a lot of people are going to get sick. We had more than a lot of people get sick. It was, dude, I got so sick. I was probably the second sickest person on the flight.
Who was the sickest?
Tiffy, who is one of our female Valorant streamers. If you watch the video, you'll notice there's a shot in the middle of her floating with Alexa. And then if you watch to the end of the video, which is the group shot, which is the last thing we filmed, she's not in it. Because there were... Most everybody got to vomit back sitting in their seats. So the way the plane is like, think about, you load from the very back of the aircraft, and like there's 6, 7, 8 rows in the very back of the plane, and then everything in front of those 8 rows, the rest of the 747 is just like an asylum room. It's just padded, right? So when you're not feeling well, the crew notices because you look very sad, and they take...
Okay, oh no, sorry. Well, really quickly, is she the one with gray hair? I clicked to her 2-shot with what would you say her name was? Alexa,
yes.
I clicked to her 2-shot almost immediately, and I was like, that's her. 100% that's her, because she looks so unhappy in that shot. She just looks kind of dazed and unhappy, like she's just floating through the air. It's really fucking funny now that I know that.
She's in awe of her stomach.
Yeah, sure.
So basically everybody got to vomit in their seat, which is good. Only a couple of people, one of who was our secondary camera, vomited in like the play space. And when you vomit in the play space, that's really bad, because now you have vomit. You know how you think about like astronauts like doing science experiments with like squeezing like juice out of packets. The same logic applies.
I mean, I was just purely thinking about the fact that, like, when you spill some sort of liquid, it gets everywhere. But that's in a 2-dimensional space typically, right? It gets on the floor and it gets all over the floor. Now it's 3-dimensional. It just goes everywhere, all 3 dimensions.
There's a Z axis that exists for, and it goes, because it'll go to the ceiling, and then when the gravity comes back on, it'll fall from the ceiling, and then it's like a whole it's like a whole thing. You do not want to vomit outside of a bag. Luckily, almost everybody vomited in a bag. Someone vomited in their mask, which It's really, I should have probably left a mild disclaimer for anybody who has a real problem listening or thinking about puke, because I'm going to continue on for like another couple of minutes. So just bear with me as I talk about literal human stomach contents. I before the flight, 2 days before the flight, I called a doctor. I did a video conference with a doctor and got prescription motion sickness medicine, which is scopamine. It's like those patches that you see people wear, like on cruise ships, or it's a little bit more intense than Dramamine. It's like a transdermal
You said you took it.
patch.
You took it when you went to Hawaii, right?
I did.
Wasn't that the thing you did take? Yeah.
That's exactly what I did. And do you know why
also known as the devil's breath. What?
Do you know why I had it for Hawaii?
Because you planned ahead?
Because I didn't take it for 0G.
Oh.
Which...
Oh, no.
I think in retrospect, I've been thinking about this a lot. It's been about a month. I've really been thinking about it. I think it might have been a mistake. So basically, the warning for scopamine is that, hey, first time users, or even sometimes like high probability, you get really dizzy, you have blurry vision, and it might not, the first time you take it, like you might not react well to it. So I had to make the decision on if I was going to risk. If I was weighing the benefits of taking the prescription strength medication versus the side effects, and knowing that I had to work on that plane. So like what I'm doing during the flight, I was supposed to be on camera for one point. That didn't happen. What I was doing during the flight is I am pressed up against the wall of the cabin. I am leaning up against it. There's ropes above me, and I'm basically handling all of the props, because every scene that we're filming, you'll see that, like, Alexa's coming up and she has like a bowl of cereal and there's Captain Crunch going everywhere. Like, Tiffany's holding all these
Tiffany's double holding the Team Liquid plushies. Which I feel like you guys gave her because she's holding it like a comfort blanket.
Yeah.
She's clutching onto those things.
Or like, Hungry Box is floating and there's like, GameCube controller wires wiggling all around him and there's like a GameCube floating past him. Like, I'm the one who's like introducing all those props into the scene. So I'm worried that if I take the medicine and I can't function properly, then we have a bigger problem than me being sick. And I was advised by the 0G people, who, by the way, were awesome. They've done it like, hundreds of times. They're crazy people. I was advised by them, hey, I think like if you just take a lot of Dramamine, you're probably going to be okay. I don't think you need it. Like, you should try without it. And I'm like, okay. And my mistake was that I know that even though they know that's true, and even though they're used to people who get a little motion sick, I get very motion sick. And I should have known better and just listened to my own body and not be persuaded by the experts. But I made a decision that I was just going to be okay getting sick. I thought I was going to be okay getting sick. So my plan... I'm out there. We take off. We're up in the air. We're flying to our airspace, which was over Catalina Island. Fun fact: we were doing parabolas over Catalina.
Okay.
And then I get ready to go. We got all the props out. We're ready to shoot. People are like, "Are you ready?" We're like, "We're ready. Let's do this." Like, we have a whole plan. We rehearsed the day before. It's this whole big production. I get through 1 0G. I'm feeling good. I get through 2 0Gs. I'm feeling okay. I get through 3 0Gs. I know that, yes, I'm eventually going to be sick, but still feel okay. I get through 4 0Gs. I realize I'm going to be sick sooner than I think I'm going to. I get through 5, and I go, yeah, this is going to be bad. And I have a decision to make, because after 5... After 5, we're waiting again. Like, the plane is turning around. We have some time to reset. Okay, question. Yeah.
I need a timeline here. So when you guys are doing this up and down, I don't know how long that takes. So how long are you going up, and then how long does this 0G last? Because I'm super interested in that. For that helps add to my mind how production worked. Like, how long are you guys shooting for? 30 seconds at a time? A minute?
Less. The actual time
Okay.
that we have zero G for, 15 times of about 25 seconds each. And then
Okay.
going up is about 30 seconds. So it's 30 seconds of 2 Gs, 30 seconds of 0 Gs, repeated 5 times over for 5 minutes straight, which is relentless. It is both miserable on your body, but also incredibly difficult to film in, right? Because if you'll notice, like, we filmed scenes just with Hungrybox. We filmed scenes with, Steve and Amanda the Jedi. We filmed scenes with Tiff and Alexa. We filmed scenes with everybody. So we have all of these different people that we need to, like, reset. And it's not just the people who are floating around in the video that we're trying to reset. We're also, like, resetting our camera crew, resetting our props, and trying to do all of that in double gravity. And like I said earlier, you're not really supposed to do anything in double gravity because it makes everything, your body not happy. You can't stand up. Like, you when you are doing one of these flights casually, what they recommend doing is that during double gravity, you lay flat on your back with your arms out, your head locked, and you're staring at like a single dot on the ceiling to not move any of yourself. We're not doing that. We're trying to produce a movie. Meanwhile, everybody who has a camera, there is a little subtle refresh rate difference between your brain and the screen that they're watching. So not only is their brain fucked up because they're going up and down, their brain is also hella confused because they're watching something that is not in real time. There's a little bit of delay on their monitor. So they're done. My people who were watching cameras the whole time, done. One of them had a really bad day, a really, really, really bad day. The other one was a trooper. So we do 5 minutes, our first 5 minutes of 0 G. So we're doing 15 minutes for the whole flight. 1/3 of it is done. And my plan is that I am going to get up, tag myself out, let my understudy come in. I'm going to go sit down for the next 0 Gs, knowing that I'm going to be sick. I'm going to vomit as quickly as possible, and then, like I'm at some kind of a frat party in college, I'm just gonna rally. I'm gonna go force myself to be sick. Like for any okay, I'm sure that most people listening at one point in time have drank too much, and then after you're done vomiting, you feel better. That's generally how puking works in most scenarios, right?
And you go back for round 2.
Correct, exactly. That like when you're really partying hard, like sometimes
you can rally. Yeah.
The concept of rallying, which we're describing, works at a fraternity party. Does not work in 0 G, even a little bit, because you get sick, and then you get more sick, and then you get more sick, and then you get more sick, which is compounded by the fact that, do you know what makes it harder to be in 0 gravity? When you're strapped to a seat, which you do when you go back to sit down and vomit. So you're losing so much mobility. So I spend the last 10 parabolas buckled into my seatbelt, going through 4 different vomit bags, to the point where after the second one, there was nothing to puke. Like it was empty. Like the gas tank was all the way at E, all the way. But instead, I was just dry heaving because my body was that sick. It was that sick. It was that fucked up. So I'm dry heaving in a bag, going double gravity, 0 gravity, and then trying to have some type of joy during the 0 gravity, because still during the experience, I'm trying to have the experience. In addition to work.
You did make this whole entire thing happen so you could be in a 0 G flight.
Which I did.
This was your idea.
Yes, which I did strapped in a seatbelt, which I loosened up a lot, and like it was fun. Like they give you like ginger gum, and they put towels in the back of your necks. They ran out of towels because too many people got sick. I was like taking my towel and then like tossing it around in 0G, like trying to have fun and spinning it because I loosened my seatbelt a little bit so I can float a little bit more above the seat. But dude,
would you stop dry
done.
heaving when the 0G came in, and then you would start dry heaving again when the gravity came back?
Your body is so confused about those two states that actually I believe all of the puking happened when we were straight and level and at one gravity. Because it was hard to vomit in 0G.
Okay. Yeah.
Also fun. So when you puke, say Austin, you get sick, you have to go vomit. You're probably an adult who finds a toilet and you're nice and clean about it because you don't want to make a mess. What do you do immediately after you're done puking?
I flush the toilet to get rid of all that heinous shit that I just got out of my body.
Okay, that's great. We can talk about that. Imagine being in a fuselage where
That's what I was thinking the entire time.
Where 12-ish people are vomiting into bags.
It probably smells so bad in there.
It didn't smell great. It really didn't smell great.
Oh.
Okay, so you flush the toilet. You're getting your wits about you. You're probably standing up.
Drink water.
You drink water.
Yeah.
Maybe, for me, I like to brush my teeth really quickly. Or do some
They say you shouldn't do that because you're just getting away the enamel on your teeth because of stomach acid. But yes.
Maybe mouthwash, something to kind of cleanse the fact that you just hurled, right?
Yeah.
So when you're in zero gravity and you vomit, imagine again that astronaut with the juice squeezing little like particles in the air. That exists still in your body and your throat. So what you can't do is like really get a way to kind of cleanse your esophagus. And it's like you just burned yourself with your own acid because there is no way to get it out of the back of your throat and your tonsils.
Just lodged in there.
It's just stuck. So,
oh no.
You know what I should have done? I should have like had a voice recording of myself after 0G because I'm not making hyperbole. I was talking like this. It was I sounded like
it's like you did 40 years of smoking, chain smoking in 2 minutes.
Dude, it was not great. It was really, 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 really not bad. But the thing is that, again, not everybody got sick. So we get off the plane. I'm like the last person off the plane. I'm like walking back. I'm so sad. I'm like in the sun. I'm like getting back over there. I'm getting to the you fly out of like a private airline thing, so it's not like a regular airport terminal, which is really nice. And then it's like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna like try and lay down or something. The 0G company orders lunch for everybody because no one's really eaten in 2 days, and they that day decided to order barbecue. So I walk into the conference room where we're at, and there's just people nomming on mac and cheese and ribs, and nothing turned my stomach more than watching Steve or anybody else just going right at that mac and cheese.
Steve did look like he was having a great time, as did Alexa. Did HBox get sick at all? It seemed fairly lucky that none of your main characters of your story got sick.
Well, that was somewhat intentional. We filmed in order of like priority. So because Hungrybox was the most important person, we filmed him immediately because he could not get sick.
Right.
He couldn't get sick. So that helped. Hungrybox, I believe, felt really bad but did not throw up, but like felt really bad. Steve was totally fine. A handful of our crew was totally fine. Alexa did not throw up. Amanda the Jedi did not throw up. it worked out pretty okay for those people, but it was, dude, it was so I it's been a while since I felt that bad. It's been a while since I felt that bad. And then I was going through the mental torment of, oh man, like, did I really get to do the thing that I wanted to do? Like, am I walking away from this experience with regrets because I didn't get to go like do backflips in zero gravity because my body wouldn't let me? And it seems like most people who got sick are of the opinion of like, I felt it. I understand what it's like. I'm really glad I did it. I am never, ever, ever doing it again. But about a month later, I'm still kind of on the fence. Like I feel like I got a little high, but like didn't really get high. And then I'm like,
Sure.
did I do it? And that's been bothering me. This turned into a therapy session.
I think that's
real quick.
fair.
Yeah.
I think that's particularly fair since you were the primary motivator behind this entire thing happening. So you sounds like to me your experience, you got the least out of this experience, or at least close to the least. You said you basically spent 2/3 of it strapped in your chair.
That's correct.
Puking
Correct.
and dry heaving.
Mm-hmm.
And so you said 25 seconds,
25
5
seconds,
each. Yeah. So you're talking about 2.5 minutes less than that. That's what you got out of the first bit. Mm-hmm. And you probably were too stressed about making the shots work. The shots work. They look fantastic, by the way. I thought the last shot you guys got as a group, where it looks to me like the cameraman started at the back and he was holding the camera and floated backwards.
That's exactly what happened.
Everybody was okay. That's what it looked like to me, and it looks like you guys just sped that up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that shot was. I thought that shot was really cool. As was the H-box shot with all the GameCube discs surrounding him and stuff. Those were the two shots that really stood out to me. So it looks really cool. I think the video turned out great for sure. So at least you got what Team Liquid wanted out of it, I believe, but not what Joey wanted out of it.
I think so. I think that I think that I'm mostly satisfied with it from a work perspective. I am kind of bummed that like really the whole video as scripted and everything we did was closer to 3 minutes and we had to cut it down because the client wanted something a little bit shorter, and that was hard. That was a little bit harder. I'm really excited to eventually show you and other people like what the original vision was, because I do think that it was funnier when it was a little bit longer. But we got to film some awesome stuff in zero gravity. We got to film some funny stuff on an airplane set. We got to do like a real Hollywood production, big budget production to make this thing, and I was super satisfied about it. I just wish the final product was a little bit better, and I don't quite think it generated the amount of I don't have like a number in my head like, oh, this thing needed 1 million clicks, or like I wanted like everyone to talk about it, but like I think that it was a little underwhelming in terms of virality, which which I could analyze all day for 20 different reasons, and I'm still a little bit bummed about that because I know that part of the reason about that is like, production problems or things that I could have done differently to make the end product better. So like that's like always learning, right? But yeah,
I mean, I would say naturally the subject of the video is not something that's going to get very many people hyped, right? Team Liquid announcing new sponsor, something to do with crypto. Yeah, a lot of people are going to pass on any interest in that whatsoever, right? And I would say another thing is that I think it might get lost on some people that you guys filmed in zero gravity. Some people may not even realize what's going on.
I think that's fair. So what we wanted to do additionally to this thing was we also wanted to release a full behind the scenes video of the making of at the
Yes,
same
that's what I
time.
was. That's what I was curious. Yeah.
So there's a problem to why we can't do that yet, and it's because the FAA has mask mandates for all airlines, full stop, while flying, right?
Okay.
Um, and in theory, if our BTS was like in violation of that in any way, shape, or form, and something bureaucratic happened, our partners, like the airline that we flew, the people who we paid to help us do this, could get in trouble. And
Why is that not a concern with the regular video?
because it's
Just because it's not explicit that you're on a plane and stuff?
because it's okay for talent when you're filming.
Oh, got it. Ah, I see. I see. I see. I see.
So
Oh, that is interesting.
in an abundance of caution, we are not releasing that video yet, which means it's going to come out later. It's going to be untimely and it's going to be not interesting for a bunch
Yeah.
of people. But I think but big picture, sometime early next year, we'll release like the full making of, which I think will be cool. Like we'll package it. We'll probably just like package it all for like Hungry Box and his personal channel and like be like a vlog, which I'm sure people will like regardless. And then we'll also release the director's cut. And then I'll be satisfied about that. But yeah, we couldn't do the full BTS stuff because of like, an abundance of caution for FAA and our partners, which is also a bummer. There's like a bunch of little things that like I'm not super stoked about, and that's one of them. But like, and I think the point you made is interesting about, a lot of people don't care. In my mind, it's not that I'm looking for it to be the biggest thing ever, but I am looking for it probably to do something similar to what the TSM FTX thing did. And I think overall it generated less social interaction than the TSM FTX announcement. So that in particular, I think is like an apt measuring stick that I find to be a little bit of a bummer for myself.
Ah, I see. I do remember seeing this video of this TSM FTX, but I think I only saw this video because I did their DOTA thing where they ran a tournament for. That was the weirdest That was one of the weirdest events I've ever done in my life, where it's just TSM and a bunch of cryptocurrency employees having their private tournament. And they hire professional casters for weird stuff. Weird stuff.
Sounds good to me, honestly.
But yes, it does seem that video did go pretty viral. Part of that just has to be the nature of TSM and League of Legends, right?
I think they are inherently more viral.
Yeah.
So that's,
you guys have a significantly smaller YouTube base.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, so that's something to think about, and it's something to strive towards. But if anybody has any questions about Zero Gravity, I'm your guy. I would not trade the experience though for the world. It is really cool that I got to do that. It is so hard to explain to someone what it feels like. It's genuinely cool.
Well, how much break time do you get between the 5 parabolas that you were talking about?
3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. So you guys are pretty much just like scrambling to reset up, sweep up the floor of the fruity pebbles or whatever you got on the ground.
Cleaning, resetting props, getting new props, changing talent out, changing lenses, making sure lights are okay, taking cards out of cameras to put new cards in. Like it's a full. It's like it's almost NASCAR-esque. It's like, okay, we're at a pit stop. Like, you get the cards, you get the camera, you get the props, you get the talent, and then it's just a bunch of people moving back and forth. Thank God we had people on that flight though who seemed to be immune from motion sickness. One of Yeah, one of our partnership managers, her name is Shelly. She grew up in
Hmm.
Hawaii. She grew up on the water. She's a giant surfer. She wasn't supposed to be on the flight originally, but like someone bailed and were like, "Hey, do you want to come?" And she's like, "Fuck yeah!" And she ended up being such a lifesaver because I think she's just immune from motion sickness.
I should have sold myself to you. Iron stomach here, baby. I puked like twice in my whole life.
I think everything goes out the window, dude. Once your body is literally floating, it is so wild.
Yeah.
Like, so you could launch yourself with like the force of like kicking your foot up a little bit. Like the amount of energy it takes to start moving yourself is crazy. I went from 2 Gs to 0 Gs and tried to stand up a little bit, but like I didn't quite have myself properly lodged against the wall, and boom, I was on the ceiling. And then there's people like trying to pull me down, and then I'm like trying to get my legs in so I'm not in the middle of a shot. It is an experience that I am super privileged and super happy to have made work. And I kind of want to do it again, but probably never will because I got so sick. You should do it.
Well,
If the opportunity ever comes, you should do it.
oh yeah, 100%. If the opportunity ever presents itself, that and skydiving, I'll do those. Those are like the big
No
scary
skydiving.
things to do, right?
No
No skydiving
skydiving.
for you.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
I'm afraid of heights, and I'll do skydiving. Why won't you?
That's right. I'm not afraid of heights, and I am not gonna do
Uh-huh.
skydiving. The idea. I feel like. The, I don't feel safe with a parachute. I think that's what it comes down to.
Okay.
I think it comes down to just not
You don't believe in
trusting.
physics? Okay, I
I
understand.
believe in physics, but what happens if it's just a little fucked up on the day?
Yeah. No, that's fair.
It feels like a really bad way to die.
Fail parachutes happen. Does it? I feel like it's probably one of the they say falling to your death is a horrible way to die for the most part for most people. But I feel like like once you've reached terminal velocity, I feel like you're gonna go on pretty quickly. But I guess there are those people who have survived a failed parachute. So, yeah, but they say you pretty much just break every bone in your body and then you drown to death either in your own blood or if you land in water. That's the that's how you go.
I I think it's purely the idea of knowing that you're going to die in, I don't know, 20 to 60 ish seconds.
That part I don't have a problem with.
What? Dude, that has to be.
I can accept the inevitability of it.
There's no way you're that zen.
I honestly think I am that zen. I think having an out it would cause me more panic. I think having the full on 100% inevitability of it, I think I'd be pretty accepting of. It's the hope that kills you, Joey. It's the hope.
Maybe I'm just more. I'd be interested in knowing if I feel that way because relative to you, I also have a higher fear of death.
Mm, could be. And we talked about this before. I did bungee jumping. It
Yeah.
was I find bungee jumping way scarier. I did bungee jumping, and we had the opportunity to be able to do it again. They're like, "Oh, you well, like the next group isn't here yet. You want to do it again?" I was like, "No, I know. I did it. So I conquered my fear. I did the thing that I would probably be most scared of, and I'm good now. Thank you. I came real close to the ground, and almost landed on the ground. But then I popped back up and I did that a few more times and I'm good now. I don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah, I really, you would have to give me a lot of money for bungee jumping or skydiving in
Yeah.
my future. It would have to be, or even like hang gliding. Like I'm also not super into that. Like anything that falls in that
Actually,
arena.
hang gliding, I think I would find more terrifying. Because the I think one of the things about parachuting that I actually find uh, less scary, more peaceful in a way, is that you don't have a whole lot of control. It's just there, right? One of the things I really hate about heights is the fact that I know that I could just throw myself off the building,
Mm.
right? It is
It's
it
like
is
the
like,
call of the void, you
that's
know.
yes, the call of the void, exactly, right? And I know that it's possible for me to do that, right?
Hmm.
Hang gliding would be that in a very extreme sense where I could just like, let go or whatever. Parachuting, you're like, all right, the parachute either works or it doesn't, you know?
Too scary.
Mm.
The thought of failure is enough to not get me to do the thing.
Well, I'm glad the video was that you guys produced a great video.
Thank you.
Even if you didn't get a personal satisfaction of it, it seems like you guys did a very good job
I,
with
I,
it.
I
I
am
appreciate it.
satisfied. I am satisfied. I don't think I met my expectations.
Mm.
So like I was swinging for
Yeah.
like a 9.5, and I think I hit an 8. That but like I'm very happy with an 8. But like I was really
Yes,
swinging for
you're a
like,
perfectionist.
okay. We can
Yeah.
simplify it like that. Fine.
You're a perfectionist. It's I feel like very rarely have I ever heard you very satisfied with something. I also got to film something recently that was really cool that I can't talk about, and Joey can't talk about. But I'm excited to be able to talk about that. I That was really fun. I had a good time. And that's about it for our personal lives. I think, unless you got something else. I
I
don't know what to talk about Dota yet. Like, we still don't have confirmation. It's crazy that we don't have full on confirmation about all the rosters yet. It's been so long. What's happening, Joey?
I don't think we can talk
Uh,
about it. I don't think we can talk. But do I have anything else I could literally talk about? Hold on, let me scramble my
I
brain
can't,
real
I
quick.
can't remember. Like, it doesn't usually go like this. It
No, it
doesn't
doesn't.
usually go where people are like, like 3 weeks after the usual like roster shuffle time, people are like announcing this person has left the team, and then a few days later, announcing another person has left the team. Like, what the fuck is happening? Usually it's like this guy's gone. Hello, new people. Like back to back. I don't know. I'm very curious as to why everything is so delayed right now. If people are just getting cold feet, or people not signing their contracts, what's going on?
I got my COVID booster. That's what happened.
Oh, you got your COVID booster. How did you get sick?
No, I didn't. That's the end of the story. Everybody.
Okay.
I suspect I'm just trying to dodge any conversation about it really, but I suspect
Mm-hmm.
what it is, because I really don't know anything, is that it is there's just not ink on contracts.
Yeah, I'm.
I think that like people know roughly everything that's going to happen, but it's just not like signed, sealed, and delivered. Which means that, because basically like what happens, I think in esports when you have shuffles that are like this large, is that there are some people who are such superstars that they command a bunch of weight, right? Like you can think about it, like if LeBron James is in free agency and you're going after LeBron or Sumail or Tom Brady or Bjergsen or, insert person, right? If that's part of your plan, you can't lock in everything else till that's either confirmed or denied. And suddenly, there's a bunch of people who are waiting on a small handful of core talent to see who's going where, to be able to either build around that or employ different plans or get different people. So I think that what we're in right now is a situation where there is some core people who are not 100% locked down, and any possibility of them moving means that someone can't lock a roster yet.
Okay, so that actually does sound familiar here because that's kind of happening with the talent. The talent actually aren't 100% locked down to DPC regions yet either. And part of that is because one of the bigger one of the bigger characters is still trying to figure out what they're doing.
You can't. Slack's lost a
Um,
bunch of weight, dude. You can't call him bigger.
no, I was actually referring to a tournament organizer.
Oh,
They haven't like locked down everybody necessarily, and therefore other tournament organizers aren't sure what talent they're getting. Because if this tournament organizer takes these talent, then that leaves these other talent available. And that's yeah, that's a bit of a thing. I think it should be solved in the next couple of days, which I imagine the player thing will as well. And it has to be solved in the next couple of days, Joey, because the next podcast, spoilers, guys, we will be able to talk about the teams and all of the teams finally in their full official glory, because the roster locks end in 6 days. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
we they have to say something soon. So there's going to be a whole bunch of not leaks, but a whole bunch of drops this week. Teams announcing their fresh people because they're gonna show up on the DPC website soon. In 6 days, they have to be on there. So the news that we've gotten recently is that another person left Team Secret, which this time it was Matumbaman. Zayed already left, and they announced that it was picked up by Liquid, and now Matumbaman is out. And I think it's kind of interesting just because a team who got third seems to be having like a pretty core roster change. It seems like they're changing up a lot of things. I don't know if anybody else is going to be leaving besides those two, but even just those two, right? For a team that got third, that's a pretty big change. So that's pretty significant. With OG having what seems to be like a full roster change as well, then it definitely looks like things are shaking up a lot. And it'll be pretty interesting to see who comes out the winners and losers of this. I can't imagine, like, Secret got third, but I feel like somehow they're going to end up the loser, like a loser, or at least slightly a loser, just because losing Matu and Zai and being third, like they were the best Western European team at the end of the day, right? Like,
How dare you shimmy Alliance like that? DPC winning Alliance.
yeah, you had Team Spirit who made their incredible Dark Horse run to win the whole thing. Outside of them, they're the best Western team, Team Secret. So it's like I can't imagine what their new roster is going to look like, and I'll be like, oh my god, they're even better than they were before. This is the roster that's going to win TI. Maybe. It's entirely possible, but I'm having a hard time. Like, it would just have to be like all superstars, and also that's never worked before, or usually doesn't work, an all superstar lineup. So
Yeah, they tried that. They started with that twice, and then it wasn't really it, right? I don't know. I mean, it's interesting because you talk about OG potentially having a full fresh start, but like, what does that mean for No Tail, who has ownership in OG? Like, Puppy doesn't leave Secret.
Well, I think no, I don't know if No Tail is retired or not. I know it seems like pretty heavily rumors that Seb has retired, and maybe that's even official. I actually don't know. But then they announced that like Saksa left and Sumail left and Sakshka left. Their coach, their head coach. So there's a lot of things going on there. It looks like Alliance is going to try and restructure around Nico Baby, which I think that's a very smart decision. Keep Nico Baby. They also kept Hanskin, but I feel like Nico Baby's he's like their miracle, or that's the person that you're going to build your entire roster around.
Franchise player.
Yeah, exactly. Franchise player. He's your Ramses. He's your who did Navi have for like a while? These last bits.
Not Dendi. Not Solo. Art style? No. Fuck. Just keep saying Navi people. Just throw out most CIS names and like they might stick there.
Yeah. In 2019 they had 2019
General.
Crystallized. They had Crystallized. That's who it was. They had Crystallized for like 3 years or something like that, and that was kind of like the person that they had kept building rosters around. I think Nico Baby is the person that you build your roster around. So Alliance is definitely playing it smart. Team Liquid, they still have more players than they have slots, so who the fuck knows?
Spoiler
New
alert,
Quincy
I
crew
know.
looks kind of okay.
Mm,
Don't
I
know what's going on with OG yet. Expecting some of those players, those big name players that are out of teams, to end up on EG. Um, yeah, there's definitely a big swap around that's happening between all of the OG, Secret, EG, etc. It feels like they're all kind of like moving players around and shuffling around. So
yeah, I know a little bit, like maybe one or two things more than the general public knows, but even myself, I'm interested in roster locks because I want to know, like, I'm really interested in EG's roster. I'm really interested in
mm,
what OG does. Secret, I'm also interested in, but probably less so than those two. Those are probably the two big ones for me. Is like where OG lands in like tier list, who Alliance is able to court, who is left out and builds a team at EG that'll still win North America because I don't know if I like the new Quincy crew roster. Um,
yeah. Same. I'm not sure how I feel about the new Quincy crew. Like I feel like it can't be better than your old Quincy crew, but then again, the old Quincy crew struggled to be able to perform on land. So we'll just see if that ever gets fixed. Maybe some fresh blood will help with that. The I think one of the interesting things about we can have a pretty candid discussion about this next week. I always view these roster shuffles as whose stock goes up and whose stock has went down, right?
mm,
Because we all have an outside perspective. Even talent have an outside perspective on who's good and who's bad, right? Uh, but the players and teams, they live in an entirely different world, right? Where they don't just see officials, but they see scrims, and they also understand the game at another level where they recognize like who the real problem is, right? Who's really winning the game for them. Like they view that differently than the rest of us on the outside. So when you see these sort of deals, right, you can see kind of like this person went from like I'll just give you an example of somebody who recently picked up, right? Kazu. Kazu was on Team Secret. That was his peak. And then he's slowly gone down, and now he's getting another chance on Quincy Crew, I would say. Actually, Viking GG was kind of like an interesting one. That was like, oh, okay, like Viking GG, maybe they're going to be even better with Kezo. Turns out they weren't. Now he's going to be on Quincy Crew. He's going to be, looks like he's going to be captain.
I
And
believe
so,
they
like, this is
reported
a
that.
new
Yeah,
chance.
yeah.
Yeah. So this is going to be a new chance for him to see if he can make his stock rise again. But it's I think that is always really interesting because that kind of in a way says how the players feel about each other, right? If somebody leaves Secret and joins, let's say, Alliance, you know, Alliance is good, but they're not Secret, right? Ultimately, they're the ones who got third, right? Or Liquid. Liquid wasn't even at TI, right? Like, what does that mean for people's view on those players and stuff?
You can make the
So,
argument that that size stock went down, maybe in the eyes of Puppy.
oh yeah. I think that's definitely an argument you can make. I think it's kind of weird just because I think people felt like Zai left Secret. Like we didn't see anything. I guess teams never say that they kick somebody. So, but I just highly doubt Zai of all people. I feel like Zai is referenced as like one of the best players in the world consistently, and he doesn't have an attitude problem. He's got to be a great teammate to have. Like Zai is not somebody who's going to get pissy or be annoying.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to whine. Like he's
Mm-hmm.
just going to do the work. So I just can't imagine they kicked him. Maybe I'm wrong, but I view Zai as one of the best offlaners in the world. So uh, yeah, but now he's on Liquid, so that's kind of weird. That's go from third to a team that's not even in wasn't even attended at TI. That's wild. So yeah. It's interesting times. Interesting times. We'll be able to talk more about that next week when all the rosters are finally released.
And then hopefully the week after we can talk about talent and how that shook out.
Yeah, yeah. I'll definitely be able to have my own take on the situation.
I'd
So
hope so.
yeah, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. Yeah, for sure. Other than that,
Other than that, that's all I got. That might be all we got. Do you got anything else? I'm ready to
uh,
just pull the plug.
media. We do our recommendations. I give you music and stuff like that.
Okay.
This week is going to be Arcane. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Oh, Cap, come on. That's League of Legends. It's Riot. That's Tencent. Do you really want to support that? Dota's so much better. Listen. Fuck League of Legends, but watch Arcane. It's so fucking good. It's so much better than Dragon's Blood, honestly. So much better. I remember we had our kind of review of Dragon's Blood, and both of us were, I think, kind of like on the yeah,
Lukewarm 6.5, 7.
lukewarm. Dude, Arcane, I can't get enough of. It's not done yet, so like maybe it all falls apart, but I just can't see how it can. Honestly, the first 6 episodes that I have watched have been amazing. They've been so good. It looks amazing. The cinematography is amazing. The graphics are amazing. The art style, I think, is so cool. I think the world building is really nice. I think the characters are well done. I think the story is interesting. And the funny thing is, both Dragon's Blood and Arcane did a thing where they were like, we recognize that our fan base is not children. We recognize that they're adults. And they tell dark stories. But I am so much more intrigued by Arcane's darkness rather than Dragon's Blood, which I felt like was like, it was kind of weird. Like that, the whole Invoker, and Salamene storyline was just it was dark, but it was also kind of like, it kind of felt weird. I wasn't like really drawn into it. The violence, like it just felt like it was being this. I feel like Arcane is being dark and is telling like a really dark emotional story that I am very much interested in. I've been having a great time watching it. I'm gonna watch it every single time the episodes come out every week, and I highly encourage you guys to, because it's on Netflix, so you probably already have that from when you watch Dragon's Blood. So please try it out, man. It's really good. I loved it. So.
It's on my to watch list. I'm trying to get through a couple other things first and like put a bow on
Mhm.
them. But I might just I might just wait until all of Arcane is out to actually watch it. But I can't not watch it based on the amount of friends who have given it positive recommendations, and also like I know stuff about League, and it's definitely the world I exist in. So like it is so on my to do list. Do you know how many episodes they're doing? They're releasing it in like bundles of 3, like every week, right?
Yes. And it does, when you go into the Netflix episode, it does tell you how many. I think it might be 12. So I think it might be a 4-week arc with 3 episodes each week.
Okay.
I,
So
I
come
think
Thanksgiving
that's the
time,
case.
I'm gonna have a nice Arcane session. Hopefully.
Yes. I like, okay, so for one example, I get way more excited when I recognize the characters, and I'm also way more intrigued if I don't know the character. A lot of the characters I actually surprisingly do know from my time playing League of Legends early on, and then I also still watch League of Legends, like esports wise. I watch all the big esports. So I still occasionally watch League of Legends, which is boring as hell, but I do listen to it. The and like I get way more excited and invested learning about these characters and going like, oh, that's that guy's backstory. Oh shit, I remember. Oh, that's how he turned into that way. I feel way more invested in these characters than I ever did Dragon's Blood. Which again, Dragon's Blood was not a bad show, but it did not get me as excited as Arcane did. So I put out a tweet about that. I said Arcane greater than Dragon's Blood. and and that's how I know the show is really good. I didn't get a whole lot of angry Dota fans. There was actually a lot of people who were just like, "It's true, it's good. You're right."
Hey, it's just good media.
Yeah.
Respect that. It's on my to-do list. Part of the reason why I've actually been behind on TV, I did watch the new season premiere of the new season of Dexter though on release night because
You're watching that instead
hold
of watching.
hold on. You
Slacks and
can't.
I were having a conversation about shows that we never finish, and both of us usually stick with shows, and we don't usually walk out of things. But Dexter is one of the shows that I just stopped watching.
You should not finish Dexter. You shouldn't finish Dexter. You
Yeah.
because after
So why did
season
you restart Dexter?
after season 4 or 5 with Trinity, the show's really bad. The season of Trinity with Dexter is actually really good, and the first season of Dexter I stand by as being like really good and like important for like
Yeah.
the golden age of television. Like totally, you should not write it off. But because I did watch every episode of Dexter and I hated it at the end, and I hated the way that they ended it, I had to on premiere hate watch and see what they were doing for the reboot. Like I had to.
Okay.
I
Okay.
invested so my dog's name is Dexter. I've invested so much time into that like there's no reason.
You look at your
why.
dog and you're like, I'm doing this for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you hate watch that instead of watching Arcane. So was
Correct.
it good at least?
I was fine with the pilot. I'm interested in what they're going to do from a storytelling perspective. I cannot give a review of it aside from the fact that I'm kind of excited about it for I guess nostalgia and intrigue reasons, but like, that's kind of it. That's kind of it. I've been playing a fuck ton of games over the last week.
Okay.
In the
Anything
last
to
in the last 2 weeks, I've rolled credits on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 games.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. It's like almost problematic levels of efficiency and time wasting. So I should save some and not dump them all at once. But to give a game recommendation, the first of many as we probably wrap up the year and I start to get rid of my list, I played a game called Chicory, A Colorful Tale, which
How do you spell that?
Chicory.
Okay.
And it is a Zelda-like game that is a coloring book. And it is probably like top 3 for me so far this year. Super solid Zelda-like game. Solid, fun story. Interesting concept. Fresh, cool developers. Great music. Would recommend for anybody who is like excessively creative and the color book and coloring in thing is something they can probably take joy in, or someone who wants like a solid Zelda-esque 2D Zelda-esque game.
Okay. Fair enough. I can recommend. There's only one new game that I've really been playing. I've been playing this really stupid game called Super Auto Pets. I'm not going to recommend that. The only other game that I've played
Super Auto
is,
Pets?
yeah, it's an auto battler. I think the only thing that got me addicted was that I wasn't winning, and so as a Dota player, I needed to fix that.
They use like stock emojis as their art.
Yeah. I don't want to talk about that game. Inscription, however, I do want to talk about because that game I will highly recommend. And surprisingly, first of all, it's a roguelike. So it's up my alley, but I don't recommend it for the roguelike aspect. I actually do not like the card game's core mechanics so much. I think they're kind of easily broken, and I don't feel like it is that interesting of a card game. However, the story is actually why I would recommend this game. This game is one of the most how do I say this without it's very innovative, I would say. I don't want to give any spoilers, but it is like incredibly interesting. I played so much of it that I started getting annoyed with the gameplay aspect of it, but I just kept grinding through it because I wanted to go through the rest of the story. This is one of the few games that I would ever watch somebody play through, just because I am so interested in the story and I think it's so cool. So yeah, I would check that out. Roguelikes are not known for their stories, first of all. They're usually pretty bad.
Outside of Hades.
Most developers are like, why even try? Because how do you make a story out of somebody dying and redoing over and over and over again? Hades did a good job of making, I think, a decent story out of this. This is actually way more interesting, I think, as a story, for a roguelike. But then again, that's also because there's a mystery element to it. So super interesting. I highly recommend you check that out.
It's
Don't
on
be
my
deterred.
list. It is on my
Yes.
list. So now, okay, you might be going this direction. Cap, I don't like horror games. I find myself to be a little bit scared and anxious about them.
Uh-huh. It is a creepy game, but it is not a horror game. I would actually say that it's not horror, even though it puts it in there. I don't think it is a horror game. I think it's creepy, but I wouldn't say that. If you are not turned on by first person Myst, there's a lot of throwbacks to Myst. You remember that game?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
It's
We're
first
old.
person. You walk around. You use the arrow keys to walk around and you click on things. I feel like this game is actually particularly inspired by that. The if you don't like those kind of games, I understand because I'm not super turned on by them either. I played Myst. It was way back when. That was a cool experience. I think this is the other game that you should play of this genre. Yeah,
The guy who
that's
made
my sales
this,
pitch.
the guy who made Inscription also made Pony Island, which was a bit of a cult PC indie hit in 2015, 2016, which has
Yeah.
like some kind of similar creepy, not really horror, but like kind of not demonic either, but like unsettling, uh, meta breaking gameplay.
Mhm.
So I think that he's taken a lot of what he's learned there and put it in the Inscription. I've heard from multiple different people who I trust that Inscription could potentially be like their game of the year. Like they're really into it. So I am holding on to it until I have like a week off work and I'm gonna play a bunch of it. But it is I'm excited to play it for sure.
I would not call it my game of the year. And at least I hope I don't call it my game of the year, simply because the core of the gameplay I actually don't like that much. I know a lot of people were really into it. I personally I'm a big roguelike fan. I also like card game roguelikes, and that is the only part of the game that I found a little disappointing. But we'll see. I guess the year is closing out soon. So if I were to make my game of the year, I don't know what that would be right now.
Are you gonna play
Ah,
Halo?
shit. Am I gonna play Halo? Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to go back to Halo. This late, I guess.
People keep
Because
telling me that Infinite kind of rekindles that original Halo love. So I'm interested.
okay.
I think that I'm gonna play Halo, mostly just play some multiplayer. But
Hmm.
we'll see.
See, I can't. I don't think I could ever go back to multiplayer because that was my first taste of competitive gaming, and I don't think I can go back to being bad at first person shooters and being bad at competitive anything. I
Even
don't
if
think I could go back to that.
even if we were just like fucking around and doing some 2v2s, it would it would get
Yeah,
competitive really quickly. You're right.
it would bother me. It's the same way. It's like I don't play Smash anymore. I don't play Melee, because like I used to be better, and so every single time I go back and play, I'm frustrated that I'm not as good as I once was. I was still garbage, like comparatively speaking. But it's still a frustrating experience knowing that I was better and knowing that
hmm
I could do things and I can't do them anymore. And I'm not going to keep up that grind. I don't like grinding. Um, I don't like grinding mechanics of games. I like grinding Dota because I think it's a strategic grind a lot of times. But Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go
And maybe I'd
grind.
play for it for the story. But I also gave up after I think Reach
Yeah,
for playing story.
I stopped Halo games after like 4, I think, was story, because I'm like, oh man, this is like not going great. Like it really lost me pretty quickly
Yeah.
in the Halo
Yeah.
cycle. But if I reach a critical mass of friends who are just all playing Infinite because they're like, oh dude, we're having fun with the multiplayer, it's like we're kids again, then I know that I will go dabble in it, but probably try and keep it pretty light.
Mm.
But that's like the
Yeah.
last thing that's coming out this year. Everything else is kind of like existing. And I'm almost done with my 2021 games list. I think the only games that I haven't played this year are PS5 exclusives, which is
Mm.
like Ratchet and Clank and Returnal. I haven't played Inscription or Psychonauts 2 or Deathloop. Those are like the last 3 that are on my list for this year, and maybe Halo, I guess. Um, so my goal is to finish the year with all of the games that I wanted to play in 2021 being completed, and then maybe writing a blog or something. I don't know.
Do you have a Halo co-op partner?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, if you don't have one and you start playing that and you need one, I will likely pick it up and play. But uh, I don't think I would pick it up for multiplayer.
But that find match button will be right there. It'll be right there. You can just do it. You can just click the button.
Take me back to Halo 2, bro. I can't.